Kent Hovind is a fundamentalist Christian evangelist and conspiracy theorist who, prior to spending the last decade in prison for defrauding $500,000 from the US government, spent his time trying to convince people to deny major scientific theories in the fields of cosmology, geology, and evolutionary biology, because the observations they make about the universe conflict with a literal reading of the creation story found in the Bible. Since being released, Kent has started answering questions in a series of YouTube videos.
Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. Kent Hovind here, former high school science teacher, now evangelist for 25 years, teaching on creation, evolution, dinosaurs, and the Bible, and felon in prison for 9 years for taking our own money out of the bank to pay our bills. That's a controversial case. Welcome to the YouTube channel. In these programs, we've been answering questions that have been sent to me. I take Bible questions, or any questions on a variety of topics, creation, evolution, end times. I take the position that the Bible is literally true and scientifically accurate. I believe it from cover to cover. I believe God made this world in 6 days, about 6,000 years ago. I believe the Bible is literally true and scientifically accurate, and the evolution theory is stupid, extremely stupid and dangerous. If you add up the dates in the Bible and known proven history, you will see that the Bible teaches the earth is about 6,000 years old, so that would be about 4,000 BC was the creation. Now, I don't put an exact date on it, okay? I don't know. Plus or minus 50 years, maybe. And then here we are today, waiting for the Lord to come back any second.
This series isn't meant to answer any of his apologetics. It's simply an examination of what he actually believes and why he thinks those beliefs are justifiable. Because beneath the veneer of his standard routine lies an actual model of how he thinks the world works, and distinct moral principles by which he thinks people should abide. So what does Kent really believe, and why? What is he uncertain about? Has he changed his mind over anything, and did he really predict that the world would end in 2028? Let's find out. Credulity, the tendency to readily believe things without ever checking whether or not they're true, is simultaneously the greatest asset and strongest liability of the audience that Kent preaches his brand of Christianity to. He's tried for years to convince people that the Bible is literally true and scientifically accurate, and that scientific organizations have been lying to them about how science works, the conclusions it supports, and the ideas it has discredited. And so when Kent began answering audience questions, he was dumbfounded as to why so many young Earth creationists believed that the account of a flat, fixed Earth in the Old Testament was literally true, and that the world's scientists had been lying to them.
What do you think about, is the Earth flat? Is the Earth, is geocentricity? And does the Earth move? I would say I am very strongly in the camp that the Earth is round and the Earth goes around the Sun, the heliocentric theory as it's called. This is not something I want to get into, and it appears like I'm getting a lot of questions on that topic. There's a huge worldwide flat Earth debate underway. I personally believe the Earth is flat. Okay, Kathy, I have to strongly disagree. The Earth is a sphere, it's a ball, it's turning 1,038 some miles an hour at the equator. I think there's overwhelming evidence from many fields of science that the Earth, including direct visual evidence, that the Earth is not flat. You said you believe the Bible is literally and scientifically accurate, so you must believe in a geocentric flat Earth. Well, the first part's correct. I believe the Bible is literally true and scientifically accurate. I do not believe in the geocentric theory or the flat Earth theory. And I've heard I've heard most of the arguments about that, and I just have to disagree. As far as the Bible verses, 1 Chronicles, he hath fixed the earth, it's firm, it's immovable. Psalm 93, he fixed the earth. Now, these are not from the King James. I would argue you need to argue from a King James Bible if you're going to argue this topic or any topic. Psalm 96, he fixed the earth. Psalm 104:5. I say there are plenty of verses that people use in this argument. I know you're just going to make people think you're nuts, and it's going to shut off the opportunity to share the gospel. To me, it's the same thing with the geocentric argument versus heliocentric. I do not believe the geocentric theory. All these flat Earth guys. By the way, Hannah tells me I'm getting a bunch of questions on this flat Earth, and it's really a hot issue. Here's the Hovind theory on the flat Earth. Let's get it out here. A, is not true. I wish you would look into the flat Earth thing. What do you think about the flat Earth? What are your thoughts on the concave Earth theory? It's stupid. Give it up. Don't believe it. Okay, I have a couple questions. I promise it won't be about the flat Earth. Well, thank you. The Earth is a ball. Comment. Questions you are currently getting about a flat Earth are incredibly stupid. I'm going to pray they stop. They haven't stopped. Believe me, I get them all the time.
What's most interesting about the flat Earth questions are the justifications Kent uses for his position. He believes the heliocentric model because of overwhelming evidence from many fields of science, and he rejects the Bible's account because he just disagrees and doesn't want to get into that and isn't using the King James, all of which emphatically avoid actually dealing with the troublesome verses. The reason those verses exist in the Old Testament is simple. The universe, as it was understood by the ancient Israelites, was an immovable, flat, disc-shaped earth, with an underworld that all people went to when they died. Ideas like this were pervasive in ancient Mesopotamian mythologies, so the verses containing allusions to a flat earth are unsurprisingly very old, dating from before the Hellenistic period when the concept of a spherical earth was introduced by the Greeks. So the early Christians, writing in the 1st and 2nd centuries, are unlikely to have believed the earth was flat, but the early Jews who wrote the Old Testament absolutely did. So Kent, somewhat ironically, defers here to scientific evidence as a refutation of an immovable flat earth, which just solves one problem with another. Scientific observations now appear to be at odds with biblical literalism. As it happens, Kent does have a solution to this problem, though he fails to mention it here, which is that I'll let him explain.
The first obvious interpretation of anything is the literal one. If that doesn't fit, then you go to metaphors or similes. If you're going to take the phrases that are given clearly in the Bible, the sun into darkness, the moon into blood, if you're going to take that and make everything into a metaphor, well, then you can make the Bible say anything you want. If possible, take the literal interpretation first.
So Kent doesn't think that the Bible must always be literally true. Certain passages apparently can be set aside if literalism doesn't fit. But this solution to a problem generated by another solution generates yet another problem, which is that now biblical literalism no longer does what it set out to do, which was to solve the inherent problems with trying to derive knowledge from the Bible. Because even if each verse is, in some sense, true, no reliable method has ever been devised to convert this convoluted Jabberwocky into trustworthy or even consistent information. So it would appear that what Kent really means when he says the Bible is literally true is that the verses he wants to take literally are literal, except of course for the ones he's changed his mind about, and that the verses which don't make literal sense can be put aside. And what he means by scientifically accurate is that if science conflicts with any of his arbitrarily literal verses, well then it can't be science, because Kent defines science as repeatable observations which agree with the Bible. Biblical literalism is not a method which can produce justifiably true statements. So why has Kent been getting so many flat Earth questions? Initially baffled by the propagation of flat Earth conspiracy theories among young Earth creationists, Kent has updated the Hovind theory to account for this phenomenon.
What is wrong with the flat Earth, concave Earth guys? I don't know. The Earth is not flat. I don't know why this is becoming an issue now. I suspect, strongly, this is a hoax put forth by the atheists to see how far the Christians will take it. I suspect, I do not know this, I just have a sneaking suspicion, that some atheists someplace have gotten a club together to say, hey, let's start pushing this idea that the earth is flat and let's see if the Christians fall for it. They've done that several times before over the last 100 years to spread some stupid idea, and sometimes a lot of Christians do fall for it. Sadly, some gullible Christian, and then they'll use that to sit around and laugh and say, wow, look how stupid these Bible believers are. I think this whole flat earth thing is another one of those. They're out there laughing, trying to say, well, we started to, and they write these real scientific sounding articles, and give all these incredible mathematical proofs and stuff like that, and I think it's dumb. I think it's wrong, and I think you'd be a moron to fall for that. So don't send me any more flat earth questions, please. You're not going to change me off of that one. There are all kinds of scientific ways to demonstrate it's a ball. And the concave earth theory, same thing. What's the other one? The hollow earth theory. I think it's a setup by some atheist or evolutionist to try to make Christians look dumb. And it will work very well for that goal. So you would be dumb to believe such a thing.
Which brings us back to credulity. This is Kent's perception of non-believers compared to his own audience of young Earth creationists. Non-believers he perceives as manipulative and capable, periodically crafting elaborate hoaxes to deceive others. Young Earth creationists, however, are seen as gullible, easily misled, even stupid. In Kent's estimation, these are people who will believe anything you tell them and don't have the means to properly fact-check claims. He's largely wrong, of course. The idea of a flat Earth isn't an atheist hoax, and its perfusion into the minds of young Earth creationists is a consequence of how he and others have taught their audiences to think. This is what happens when you teach people to blindly accept opinions on faith instead of teaching them why established theories are justified as true and how to critically evaluate new ideas based on the available evidence. And so we've arrived at the final chapter in the Hovind Flat Earth saga. What is the overwhelming evidence from many fields of science that Kent cites so confidently to dismiss biblical claims to the contrary?
There's a fad around the internet sweeping like crazy called the flat earth theory. I don't believe it. They claim the NASA photographs are fake or character generated. Again, I disagree. If the earth was flat, I could see Chicago. I could see Tokyo. From here, I get a big telescope, I could see it without. If the earth is not flat, it's not flat. It's not flat. It's not flat. Okay. And there's 100 things we could argue about. They want to say the whole universe spins around the earth and the earth is stationary. You're telling me that Proxima Centauri and Alpha Centauri are going around the earth in one day? I'm not going to buy that. That's way past the speed of light. Are you telling me the sun not only spirals around the earth, it spirals up and then reverses the spiral down, and it's going up, and it's a spring, a yo-yo going up and down, and all the stars are doing this? 23.5 degrees up, 23.5 degrees down. That's happening every year while they're moving way faster than the speed of light? I'm sorry, I don't buy it.
The scientific method is, by far, the best measuring stick for truth ever devised. What this means in practical terms is that not only are the most successful theories able to make utilitarian predictions, some encompass so much overwhelming evidence that unless the laws of physics themselves change, certain theories cannot cease to be accurate descriptions of reality. Kent Hovind recognizes this, but he rationalizes his rejection of several such scientific theories based on his assumptions that the Bible can't be wrong, and therefore real science can't contradict it, thus anything contrary to the Bible cannot be science. The problem is that the initial assumption is a false premise. There are probably countless ways to demonstrate this, but here's a fun little argument against biblical inerrancy. In Titus 1, Paul of Tarsus, in his justification for why his critics should be silenced, ineptly includes a paradox of self-reference known as the Epimenides paradox, named after the Cretan philosopher Epimenides of Knossos. Here, Paul cites one of Crete's own prophets, Epimenides, as an authority that Cretans are always liars, evil brutes and lazy gluttons, followed by the statement, "This saying is true." But if the statement is true, then Epimenides must have been honest, and so the statement must be false. But the Bible says it's true. Had Paul simply reported Epimenides' claim, the paradox could be resolved by calling Epimenides himself a liar. This allows the statement to be false and Epimenides to be lying about at least one honest Cretan. Unfortunately, since the Bible informs us that this statement is true, Epimenides must have been telling the truth, and so because he himself is a lying Cretan, the statement has to be false, unless Epimenides is an honest Cretan, in which case the statement is true, meaning that Epimenides cannot be an honest Cretan, and so the statement is false. Round and round we go. No inerrant work can contain a paradoxical statement. The Bible contains at least one paradoxical statement. Therefore, the Bible cannot be inerrant. That's not to say that nothing in the Bible is true, just that not everything in the Bible must necessarily be true. And if well-supported scientific theories conflict with stories in the Bible, then, I'm sorry, but the story probably isn't true. To maintain his niche theology, Kent denies special relativity, general relativity, plate tectonics, the Big Bang theory, the very foundations of modern biology, and a slew of physical constants including the speed of light, which together form the foundations for all of physics. We know that the Earth isn't flat because the scientific method has proven that it's round. But unlike Bible verses, you can't pick and choose which scientific fields are relevant. They all study reality. And evangelists who can't come to terms with this will inevitably do more damage to their cause than good. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you really liked it and would like to see your name stamped into the end credits, please consider pledging $1 or more toward the production of more content like this via Patreon. I'm going to start offering perks to supporters, which presently includes access to the scripts, art, and bonus material from the production process. Also, consider checking out CoolHardLogic and King Crocoduck's channels. They produce awesome videos debunking all kinds of pseudoscience. The Crocoduck itself is King Crocoduck fan art by MQuell, which I have hilariously animated. All links are in the description. Thanks for watching.